little chunky. What are we gonna be doing in 2 other books? My eyes were going a mile a minute. I was trying to keep up with the action and it was so good. Are y'all okay? Her sitting in her blood. That was the first thing that we get. The most annoying part in this book. If you ask her spaghetti or tacos for dinner, she is not going to know. That book will not be seeing me. The tensions, they're high. Greek mythology, it don't be clicking up here. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for this video. I am praying and hoping that this goes as well as I want it to. I read quite a bit of fantasy now and I'm loving it. So I thought I would continue that with this video and read some more. A lot of the fantasies that I do read, I feel like they are beginner friendly. I really want to get into some books that just from the looks of it, I don't think that they are beginner friendly. I think they're intermediate, you know, pro. I do have 3 books. Oh, I'm saying 3 books. I don't know if one of them is a fantasy. So I'm going to mention it anyway when I get to it. It's Children of Blood and Bone. I always want to say Children of Child and Bone for some reason. I've heard so many great things about this. It's a little chunky. It's a little chunky. Just from the looks of it, like this is giving fantasy. You know what I mean? Like this is giving pro. Blood like magic. Again, this is a little chunky. This one, I think it's more of a romance. Like, I wonder if this is romantasy or like a fantasy with romance, because I think that is part of the plot. Now, I'm going to mention this one. I don't know if it's a fantasy. I feel like I've heard. Now, all of these books, I really don't know what they're about. Look at that rooster. Or chicken, hen. I don't even know if I can zoom in all the way. Right there. Wait. You can't see. But anyway. I have heard so much about this book. I heard about this when it came out. I recently started seeing it pop up more because I've seen Kayla talk about it, and I've seen one other booktuber that mentioned it because of Kayla, and I saw that my library had it. It's apparently leased to them. So I was like, might as well get it. So this is called The Reformatory. I'm a little nervous because I feel like it's going to be super heavy and emotional. Is this like a fantasy? Is it a paranormal, you know, whatever? I'm going to do a little more research on this because I know it says right here, Robbie has a talent for seeing ghosts or haunts. It looks historical, like a historical book. I really want to start with this one first. I did start one of the fantasy books for this video. I ended up starting Children of Blood and Bone. Ciao, I'm almost done. I technically started it yesterday. Today is July 31st. I technically read the first 47 pages yesterday. I haven't finished listening, so I don't know exactly where I'm at, but my last saved page is 338. I've been listening to the audiobook all day, and this is 500 and something pages. I need to see where I'm at in here.
It amplified my abilities. When I was trying to find you, I sat under a...
On the audiobook, I'm on chapter 54, but I think that means chapter 53. So it looks like I'm almost done with chapter 53. So like I said, 53. I'm almost done. I'm on page 360, 361. Because I'm so far into it, I don't want to tell you what it's about from my head, like from my own, with my own words. So I'm just gonna read the synopsis. Zelly remembers when the soil of Arisha hummed with magic. Burners ignited flames, Tiders beckoned waves, and Zelly's Reaper mother summoned forth souls. So what was just mentioned, those are types of powers that people can have, in the past. So some people could wield fire, basically, some water, and her mom was a Reaper. But everything changed once magic disappeared. Under the orders of a ruthless king, the Magi were targeted and killed. That's what she's called, leaving Zelly without a mother and her people without hope. Now Zelly has one chance to bring back magic and strike against the monarchy. With the help of a rogue princess, love her, Zelly must outwit and outrun the crown prince, love him too, who is hell-bent on eradicating magic for good. Danger lurks in Arisha, where snow leopards, proud and vengeful spirits wait in the waters. Yet the greatest threat may be Zelly herself, as she struggles to control her powers and her growing feelings for an enemy. That's like the basic, of what's going on. I am really enjoying this, but I don't know how I would feel. Wait. This is one of the problems that I have with reading books that majority of people love. The average Goodreads rating is high. It's a 4 something. Most of my friends, like the friends I have on Goodreads, 5s and 4s. Majority of them 5s. Anytime I go into a book like that, I feel like it affects my rating. And I'm really enjoying this, but am I enjoying it because I feel like I have to? Because I'm gonna be like the one person that's like, oh my gosh, this was awful. Or am I really enjoying it? I think it's a little bit of both. Right now, I'm leaning towards a 4.75 versus a 5, like rounded up to a 5. I think I was trying to convince myself to give this a 5-star, but I don't think that would be accurate. I think because other people have given it a 5, that's why I would want to give it 1. Because I do, have a little bit of issues, but not enough to give it lower as of right now than a 4.75. The chapters are short though. I was also nervous because out of all of the fantasy books that I've read, this just feels like mother fantasy. This is the most fantasy book that I could probably read and that I have read. The world isn't that difficult. Even if I don't understand in the moment, I know that at some point it's gonna clear up for me. So that's another reason why I just don't feel confident in giving it just a flat out 5, because again, but that's a me thing. And I do find that there are some scenes that feel repetitive, and I'm really only talking about one scene. Once I got to about, I don't even know where I'm at. This looks like about 70 something percent. I'll say 68%, 65. But once I got to about like 60%, like it's the part that I just read, it felt like it was just a little repetitive. Like we kept talking about the same thing. But I feel like you're gonna get that with the length of this. There's only so much that you can be doing. From jump, I've been into it. It starts off good. It is very dark. Some of the trigger warnings that I can think of, brutal beatings, the mention of, I'll put it up top. It's just the mention. Nothing's been in detail. No, I don't think so. Nothing was detailed. It was just like someone mentions it in passing. Oh, but there are some scenes, oh, my neck is killing me. But there are some scenes with guards towards Zelly that, we can infer like, I think there were 2 scenes where it's kind of like, I feel a little uncomfortable, but it never goes far. The other thing I'm nervous about, I'm sure it's going to end on a cliffhanger, but what are we going to be doing in 2 other books? You know what I mean? I don't mind reading series. Personally, I prefer duets and trilogies over a book series more than 3 books. And I understand with a fantasy, we're going to get one of those. We're either going to get a duet or a trilogy. And this just happens to be a trilogy. I'm pretty sure the 3rd book is the final. But my thing is, we've gone through so much in this book already. That's 500 and something pages. What could we be doing in the 2nd and 3rd book? And you know what? I understand having a 2nd book. I get that. because I'm sure we're just revving up right now. We're revving it. Once I get to the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna need that second book. But then now I'm thinking ahead, like, well, what are we gonna be doing in the second book to need a third? A third? What's up? I don't remember. Ooh, boobies. I forgot where I left off. I had oh, okay. So I did end up finishing Children of Blood and Bone. I ended up giving it a 4.75. I finished this 2 days ago, so I'm gonna look at my review really quick. Whatever I said in the previous clip, that's kind of still accurate. And I think that's what I put in my review. I wanted to give it a 5-star. Here's the thing. Sometimes I just want to give all fantasies that I finish a 5 because I still just cannot believe that I'm a fantasy reader. And it's like, girl, yes you are. So I do feel like I need to be a little bit critical. Not too much because I'm still a little new. And I saw that some people who are fantasy readers say that this was a little stereotypical, very trope heavy. I have no opinion on that. I did have a couple of things that I just feel like a 4.75 was just right. And there's 2 major things. It was a little repetitive. Now I'm not talking about the obvious repetitive scenes where our character Zelly is repeating something over and over in her head, because that happens. Someone will tell her something on page 50 and then like on page 150 she's thinking back on it and repeating that same thing in her head. I'm not talking about that, but there are some scenes, again, probably towards the 65 to 70% mark. I felt like they were just going around and around, and it got a little stale and things were being repeated at that point. And that is the 2 things. I just put them all together. The repetition and the stale part around the 65 to 70% mark, because that's kind of what made it a little stale. But once it picked up, after that, like the 80% mark, my eyes were going a mile a minute. I was trying to keep up with the action and it was so good. I did go to the library, so I just kind of want to show you guys what I got because I like doing little hauls. The 710 split. I'm a little nervous to read this. This is a sapphic romance. I heard it's not that great. Do what Godmother says. I will be doing another video soon, so I got these for it. I'm not going to say what the video is, but I got The Marvelers and The Memory Thieves. A Drop of Venom, which I'm planning on reading in this book. If you guys remember, I mentioned The Reformatory. That is not a fantasy. It has like ghosts, so it might be a little paranormal, but it's not a fantasy, so it's just not going to fit well in this video. So I will be reading this. Oh, and then of course I got the second and the third book. What did I do with it? Oh, I must have forgot it. But I did get the third book and the second one. It's in the kitchen for the, what's the series called? Legacy of Orisha series. This is the third book for this video. The other book that I have started is Blood Like Magic. Started listening to it. I'm on chapter 7, page 88. I don't want to get too much into what it's about yet because although I'm 88 pages in, even though I haven't even reread the synopsis yet, I don't think we hit all of the synopsis just yet within those 88 pages. Typically within 50 pages, I mean, the story is set up. Most of whatever happens in the synopsis has already happened. That hasn't happened yet, so I'm not going to talk so much about the synopsis just yet. I am 88 pages in. I'm not... Not that I'm not liking it. I think it's going to pick up. I'm glad that I do have the audiobook. I haven't tried reading it physically just yet. Y'all, the detail in this book. I don't like lots of detail. I'm not even say that's one of. It is my biggest pet peeve in books. For example, my alarm clock went off at 5 a.m. I opened my eyes, turned the alarm off, got out of bed, put my right foot in my right shoe, put my left foot down, took 3 steps to the kitchen. I hate that. And that's what's happening in here. I should have highlighted some parts, but because I'm listening to it, I can't just tell you. And then I'm telling you now, that's why it's so long. It's a 16-hour audiobook. I have about 13 hours left. But that's it. That's all. Bye. I finished it. I'm giving it a 2-star. And the minute that I finished filming that first clip, I immediately put the book in my library bag because I'm like, I know I'm not going to read this physically. This is a book that I'm going to have to listen to, which is fine because I've already been listening to it. And it's a 3.97. Are y'all okay? That's mean. I want to see how long it took me to read this. 10 days. 10 days. It wasn't good. I don't remember if I said, what do I remember? I don't know if I said what it was about, but we have a young girl, Voya, who is 16 and she's from a family of witches. However, you don't get your calling or something until you're 16, or like until you menstruate. I've seen the word written and now I can't remember how to pronounce it. But until your first cycle. And she gets hers at 16. And that's actually what we open with in the very beginning. Her sitting in her blood. That was the first thing that we get. Everyone, for their calling, they get a call from their ancestor who's like a big deal. This ancestor will give them some type of task that they're gonna fail or pass. It's almost always a decision that they have to make. Voya gets a call from the worst one that you could possibly get. This is an ancestor that she's gonna give you a hard time. And she gives her an impossible task. Now, oh, by the way, huge triggering scene when we meet this ancestor, because we go back in time, the 18th century, I don't remember which century. We witness the death. Did she die? But we witness the ending or the beginning, if you will, of that ancestor. Brutal scene, because this was during slavery. So she gets the task to unalive her first love. And the most annoying part in this book, we know early on, Voya's issue is making decisions. She cannot make a decision to save her life. Making choices. If you ask her spaghetti or tacos for dinner, she is not going to know. And I can't explain to you how many times, I'm losing it right now, how many times we are reminded of that. I don't remember how many pages it is, but I know it's about 100 pages too much. Girl, I know you can't make a decision. But can we try? What made it even more annoying is her task, trying to figure out who her first love was. She does end up meeting someone, and that's kind of the love interest in the story, Luke. It's kind of like not an enemies to lovers. He dislikes her, and he's very grumpy at the beginning. So that was fun, but it gets more complicated. The reason why I'm giving it a 2 and not a 1 is because there were some likable things. Again, I like how they first met. Towards the end, there were 2 scenes. One where I kind of felt happy that someone was sticking up for Voya. And there was a scene that was kind of like a twist. It was kind of like, oh, like, I didn't even think of that. You know, someone else might have guessed that. I was just listening to get it over with, basically. Did not like the writing. I don't think this author is for me. I'm pretty sure this is the same author that wrote Tender Beasts. I did read that. It was okay, but which I would pick Tender Beasts over this book any day. The problem is, one of the issues that I had with Tender Beasts was the writing style. I kind of overlooked it. I still gave it like a 3.75, but I overlooked it because the story picks up at the end. Another problem I had was the writing style. Like, I understand that's not really something that you can change. Like, you can change it, I think, as you continue to grow in your writing. And if you look at book 1 versus book 10 of someone, I'm sure there's a drastic change, no matter if it's a different genre. But I don't know what book of this is hers. Is this her debut? Is this towards the beginning? I don't know. I don't think this author is for me, which is sad because I also had Delicious Monsters on my list, which is by her. I don't even think I'm reading the second book. Let me read the synopsis. Not out loud, but just skim it. If it's shorter, no, 480 pages, girl, that book will not be seeing me. Oh, I forgot to mention, the calling with the whole answering to your ancestor and stuff is for her to become a witch. She's a part of a witch family, coven, I don't know. I watched a couple of seasons of American Horror Story. Couldn't tell you nothing else. But it's for her to become a witch. Not everyone becomes, but it's very rare for someone to fail, especially in her family. She would be the first one in like 200 something years. It did pick up towards the end, but I just found it to be so repetitive. I mean, is it the worst book that I've ever read? No, because I didn't give it a 1 star. My memory skills are not the best. Typically, if I love a book and I say that, oh, like this is a favorite book of mine, and you ask me the next day, hell, you know, months later, I'm gonna tell you, I have no clue what it's about, but I remember the vibes and the feelings that I got, and I just get so frustrated because the books that I hate tend to be the books that I remember everything. Maybe not their names. I always struggle with names. I remember my feelings while reading it. I remember the beginning, the middle, and the end of the book, and the conflict. Like, and it's so frustrating to think about. It is what it is. My next book is Dark Venom. I'm not gonna put a picture in because y'all will see it in the next clip. But I'm excited because it's the same publisher or like imprint. I don't know how to say his name. Rick Riordan. No clue. I forgot what he does. Something maybe with Marvel or Disney. But it's his imprint or his publisher. And I read It Waits in the Forest. I believe, I don't think it's in a video of mine, but I do have a Goodreads review up. I read It Waits in the Forest. I loved it. It's by Sarah Das. I loved that book. I gave it a 4.75. And I just have a strong feeling that anyone under his publishing company, imprint, whatever, is gonna be real good. Oh my gosh. What is going on? So as you can see, I did not read the book that I said I was. I still am. I wasn't planning on talking about this book in this one, but I will anyway. I loved this book. I definitely agree with those that said this is even better than the first. I'm not going to go over the synopsis because this literally picks up right where we leave off in book 1. First off, the beginning of this book, because of where we left off in book 1, the tensions, they're high, action-packed. Now, I believe I'm gonna give it a 5 star. However, I have also thought about giving it a 4.75. 2 reasons. 1, there's so much action, and I don't mean it in the way of like there's so much going on at the same time, like 2 or 3 different things. That's not what I mean at all. At any given time, there is some type of action taking place, fighting, something. Sometimes it could be too much because then we'll get a couple of chapters where there's really nothing going on, and in my head it's like, are we getting a little stale right here? But it's like, no, it's not. It's fine. It's just not as action-packed in this part. The other reason is because there are some scenes where that action is taking place, and I think because of how it's being described, it's losing me. Like I'm not, it's going so, now mind you, I was listening to the audiobook for a majority of those parts, and the narrators were really good, even in the first one. It's the same people. They're reading it so fast, like they're really acting it out, you know, when they're narrating. And it's just, it's going so fast sometimes. And I felt like I missed some things. But I don't know, it's still 5-star worthy. I am going to the library. Some of the things that I'm returning. My lips are so chapped. Like, that's why I keep licking my lips. Children of Virtue and Vengeance. The Reformatory. I think I actually spoke about this at the beginning of this video. I think I did a library haul with some of these books. I could be wrong. I did read it. It was really good. Again, 50-50, 50 audiobook, 50 physically. So good. I will be thinking about this book for a long time. 5 stars, by the way. I Want to Be Where You Are. This is a YA romance by Christina Forrest. I have now read all of Christina Forrest's books. I'm telling you, she don't miss. The only one that wasn't a favorite of mine is The Partner Plot. Blood Like Magic. The Marvelers, this is gonna be in a video. It'll probably be out after this one at some point. I gave this a 3.75. It's a middle grade fantasy. I don't believe I want to read this anymore. Here for the wrong reasons. This is a sapphic adult romance. peeps. So I have some updates. I'm currently at the library, so I'm packing my bag to go in because I don't take my purse anymore. I did finish A Drop of Venom. I actually recorded a clip yesterday when I was like halfway done, or a little more than half, and I didn't like how it came out. I'm giving this a 3-star. I said I wasn't going to talk about it right now. I was just going to say that and then come back, but I'm going to return it. So quickly, we have a girl named Manisha, who it's kind of like at the beginning of Children of Blood and Bone, where she and her, I don't want to say tribe, but her and her family, whatever type of like person that they are, they're being hunted. It's so hot in here. They're being hunted, and she ends up going away so that she can escape, and she goes to the King's Mountain. What is it called? Mountain in the Clouds. And there she is undercover, and she becomes a priestess. Now, in this world, women are in so much danger because of men. This book is full of predators. There's so much essay in here. I don't want to say it's what the book is about, but this is also, keep in mind, a mythological retelling of Medusa. I'm not really familiar with Medusa's story. Greek mythology, it don't be clicking up here. She ends up meeting a guy, our main character, Priush, what's his name? Pertush. We meet Pertush, and he's called a slayer. He slays monsters because monsters are a thing in this world. They fall in love. It's very insta-love. He plans on asking, they're not even supposed to be together. She's a priestess. He's a slayer. They cannot be together. My phone's gonna get hot. But he says that he's going to ask the king to marry her. I think it's right after she leaves him that day. She's walking and she's assaulted herself and she's thrown off the mountain. Well, it's like a cloud mountain cloud, whatever. And she falls. And you would think that she would kaput, but she doesn't. She falls into this pit full of venomous snakes, and she's bitten and she's infected with all of this venom. She ends up obviously leaving, and she goes on this journey, and coming to terms with not what she is, but what she can now do, because she becomes powerful. In the meantime, Pertush, the king says, fine, if you can go and kill this last monster, you can have a little break and marry whoever you want. He doesn't realize that the monster that he has to go get and unalive is Manisha. Here's the problem. All of that sounds great. However, it was so hard to get into this book. I read the first 90 pages and I was like, what is going on? I was actually listening to the audiobook and I was like, I'm so confused. It's kind of cute because I was liking the moments that we were getting between our two main characters, but I was like, I need to reread what this is about. And when I reread it, it wasn't until I get to the end of the synopsis when they're saying that she's SA'd and she turns into this monster. Pertush has to now hunt her and kill her, but he doesn't even know that. I almost thought when I was reading the synopsis it was a spoiler, because I felt like I had read so much and we hadn't gotten there, and I'm like, what is going on? I didn't like the alternating timelines. It is dual POV. Once she's off of that mountain and she's making her journey, when we're in his POV, it's in the present. When we're in her POV, it's 30 days before, 27 days before, 20 days. And at first it was so frustrating because I wasn't understanding what was going on. But then I realized that when we're in his POV, we're getting the aftermath of what was going on 20 days before, 30 days before in her POV. I understand what the author was trying to do. I get it. I don't think she executed that well. I may come back on here with some more, but it is hot outside. I at least wanted to get some of this off my chest. What's up? So I realized yesterday I have nothing else to add, so that is it for today's video. I'm going to wash my hair. Comment down below a fantasy book that you would like to see me review, or the magic wand. And that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!